and I'm really excited that we're here. I don't know if you saw the video when you walked in. We were doing Berlin Blockchain Week 2024 at Marine Park and flew the drone, captured data, and participants, people like you, could instantaneously buy the data off the drone. That's unheard of. It's machine-to-machine economy made possible today. So we've been in mobility this whole time, and today we'll be sharing Staex being deployed on city buses in Germany. Yes, this is really unheard of, right? I'm really, really thrilled because we're launching today with Solana. You will hear from Patty. With DIMO, you will hear from Alex. With Iris, Ulf, and Porsche Consulting, Andre. And I don't know where Tim is. He's lost in the shuffle somewhere in traffic. That's why we were waiting. From Alexandra, for those of you who do not know me, I'm Paksy. I'm one of the 3 co-founders at Staex. We were spun out of Deutsche Telekom, and Ben is here. And the original co-founders, Philip and Alexandra, they were at Deutsche Telekom for many, many years. In Alexandra's case, 15 years, can you imagine? And they were running the blockchain R&D. Yes, this was happening at your own national carrier. We spun out a few years ago, and Marcus is here. Thank you. He's one of our original investors from Brandenburg Capital who made that happen. And also here from Staex, Elvina and Nayong are here, and really excited. I want to learn more about you guys because not only will you hear about what's happening in Germany, right, and AI and Web3 tools that we're bringing into mobility, you will have an opportunity to actually build your solution. How many builders in the room? Your solution on top of city buses that are driving around as we speak. Not a POC, not a little project demo, no, they're actually driving around with our platform in Duisburg and in Koblenz and a couple of other cities, so mainly North Rhine-Westphalia. But we will get to that. First of all, this day was not possible without Patty and her super team, Solana. We build on Solana, that's our preferred chain. Yes, give it up for Patty.
Okay, thank you so much, Paksy. Also, welcome. Good morning, everyone. My name is Patricia. I lead the German super team. So it's a mixed audience, right? So I don't know to what extent you're all familiar with Solana or also with super team.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Maybe we'll start very, very basic, right? So who knows Solana?
Yay!
Woohoo! Almost everyone. Who knows Superteam? Mixed, I'd say. Half, maybe a bit less than half. So let me tell you a bit more of what we do, right? So Solana is a blockchain. It's one of the fastest and most cost-efficient blockchains. Just to throw some numbers in there, so Solana can do 65,000 TPS, transactions per second, which is extremely fast. And then Solana is also very, very cost-efficient. So some of you might remember the gas fees of Ethereum. With Solana, microtransactions are very, very useful and make a lot of sense because the transaction is literally a fraction of a cent. But then the third thing, why Solana, at least to me, is very special, is the community and the structured way of building ecosystem. And here's where the super teams come in. Yeah, so super teams are basically the talent layers of Solana. So I lead the German super team. It's the German Solana community, and then super teams around the world. So countries like Nigeria, Canada, the UK, France, Japan, India, and so on. We have, you can see maybe the wall we did over there. We have the flags up there. We have close to 20 super teams right now, growing every month. So this is really one of the strongest differentiating factors of Solana. And what we do is we unite developers, founders, investors. So this is one of our portfolio companies, so to say. We're very, very proud of what they're putting together. We do whatever we can to make the startups and the companies in our network as successful as possible, right? And that means we do educational initiatives, we do workshops. We have Mike right here, who is leading our developer relations. If you have a technical background, you should check out the Developer Guild, happening twice a month. super exciting. Mike also holds workshops, trainings. We do fundraising events where we help startups get together with investors. We also do social events. So we had a boat party last night on the Spree. I know some people here in the audience were there. Where are they? Oh, here, all the way in the back, because it was a very good party, and excellent that you made it this morning. So this is roughly what we do. Maybe, does anyone have any questions about Superteam, or about maybe how you can get involved, or how we can benefit you? It was crystal clear. All right, then let's see. Sure. So I guess if you are builders, it's probably the most interesting for builders, because our mandate is literally to, be the innovation engine of the Solana ecosystem. So I think the easiest is if you check out our Twitter, follow our Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, follow us on LinkedIn. You can find myself, Patricia, Albrecht, on LinkedIn. We also do a newsletter if you're interested in this. And then I'd say come to our events. Yeah, there's so much happening, from parties to breakfasts to spotlight on amazing startups like the one today. We did a massive demo day here on Friday where we had probably hundreds of people in the room, 36 startups pitching, investors. We partnered with Commerzbank, Jägermeister, and staking facilities. So we also had big partners, big sponsors. So I'd love to hear from all of you, get in touch, get involved. And I think with that, thank you so much, and excited for the day ahead. Over to you.
Thanks so much, for Solana Superteam Germany. They are usually in this space, so you can always look them up here as well. Now, thank you. Thanks, Mike. Mike has a busy job today. So, for those who has worked with Staex or no Staex? Yes, a few of you. You know that nothing stops us, right? I'm going to talk to our investor right here. Marcus, you've been working with us as an investor now. What do you think of Staex?
Yeah, I'm quite impressed of Staex. So I'm working right now with Staex about 5 years together, and what they are achieving and doing for the industry, it's quite impressive.
That's from an investor, guys. You heard this? Are they ever so positive about startups? Let me tell you why. Because we are next level. Alexandra was supposed to be here. On Friday, she had a hurt side, went in, and she is in Berlin, but she is live coming to you from Charité because she's in the hospital. They won't let her go. So you will get the next presentation. There she is. She even has the t-shirt. Can you hear me, Alexandra? Live from Charité, Berlin.
Paksy, can you hear me well? Yes. Say it again. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Woohoo! So your presentation. Take it away. Do you need a minute or? Oh, okay. So while we have a minute, why don't you turn to the left or right and introduce yourself to your, and tell them what you're working on. That's not as easy as Web 2 and Web 3 talking to each other. What are you working on? They usually have no understanding. Yes, Annika meet Louis, Louis meet Annika. So you guys, Iris are together. Can you guys hear? Is it okay?
What?
Can you hear all the way in the back? Okay. Hi, you want to join us?
So it's like not loud enough, Elvina? Yeah, it's good. I'm loud now.
You get to build on a platform with buses that are actually driving around, so you should join us. Or
Perfect.
otherwise, leave your contact. Okay? I'm Paksy. Stefan? Okay, crypto shorts, okay. Okay, we should connect then. Yeah, we're here in Berlin. Are you in Berlin?
No, I'm in Zurich.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Come up later. Okay.
It's gonna get like the worst here. Paksy, hey Paksy.
Yes? Okay. Guys, it's all good. Good job. You'll have a moment to talk to your neighbors. But right now, guys, we're all good. Alexandra will have her next presentation. I don't know what I unleashed now. All right, we're back to business. Let's start.
Have to give me the sign when I start. Is it the sign?
One another.
Okay. Okay. So how is everybody? I hope you all everyone is better than me for sure. So this is good.
Alexandra, you're
and
up.
This is the second week of BBW. It's Monday. For some of you, it's the first event, so I'm super happy to see Marcus, our investors, the investors, partners. I hope, yes, you can hear me well. Hi, everyone. I don't see really good faces in the back end, so I would proceed. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you can hear me well. I've done the best just to put the setup, and I would love to open this amazing event. We're super excited. As you might know, last year we actually have launched a similar project. It was all about the drones, and in this year it's all the buses. So the demo that I will be doing today is also available on a little booth, so you can come to the team and get some more details about this. Or if you want more technical details about what Staex is doing. We are super excited because it's the launch of the project, and after having spent a lot of years in the industry, we are very glad to put this exact team together that you're going to be listening to the talks and keynotes, and we think it's a very, very nice selection. So let me wait for to jump to the actual slides. So let me start. What is Staex all about? So we deeply rooted exactly here in Berlin, where you are today. We've been 2017 coming out of Deutsche Telekom. We've been their lab for distributed systems, or more precisely, the blockchain lab. I was heading the unit back in the days, and basically, Staex is the only industrial Web3 protocol that actually came out of the industry based on the requirements that we actually collected throughout the projects we've been working on for years and years. As a co-founding team, Philip, Paksy, myself, we have more than, I think, like 35 plus years industrial experience. And this is what we built. We built Trusted Data Network. It's an amazing, new, revolutionary way for manufacturers and builders to actually connect their IoT devices, connected devices, like you can see here. This is the future that we're building. But not only this, so on top, we have the tools, how they can prove integrity, how they make the data intelligent. This is a very important moment, and also monetize it on top. So this is what we're building. This year is a breakthrough year for Staex. We basically started to supply real critical infrastructure with our solution. If some of you might not know, buses are slowly becoming critical infrastructure. So every bus operator all across Europe, we actually have to face all of what we're building today here, together with you in Berlin, presenting you our results. So here in this particular case, you will see the real data. We have a real installation, GmbH, which is a company based in Duisburg. They have around 150 buses fleet. We are equipping this fleet with our technology, with our Staex protocol. Together, in combination with Solana, we help them to actually create trusted data pools, on top of which they can build AI applications for DePin, make analytics, and also monetize any type of sensory data that is being measured by the bus. So we kind of turn the whole thing around and say, it's not just transportation for the customers, it's also a way how to actually intelligently collect different sorts of data around their own devices and around the environment. So currently we're working on the deal signed with 200,000 bus units. We just started this project a couple of weeks ago. We'll show you the data that we deployed. And we're also working globally towards further 400,000 buses. This is the biggest deployment, as we know by now, to the best of our knowledge. And we are very excited about this. So what is it exactly that is happening? Unfortunately, we cannot take you all on the bus, but we will try to, with pictures and installation data that we have, show you the best how it's actually organized. So actually, in the Staex context, we turn the paradigm around and we say not the cloud is the boss, but the bus is the boss. And we say the bus is activated in our case. So through our industrial protocol, the bus becomes autonomous economic agent, and it has a gateway on which we have our own Staex wallet, which signs the data and proves the authenticity that the data actually comes from the bus. We work with amazing partners like Iris, that you're going to be hearing a little bit later, that equip this bus with cameras. It's enormously important for the future of autonomy. We're also working with our amazing partner U2U that are providing hotspots on the bus. This is also the next wave of our work in Germany because we need to provide Wi-Fi on buses. And all this data we create in a trusted way on the bus and put into Solana, which is amazing for its throughput, where we can put a lot of transactions on it and start automating it for our customers, creating smart contracts around it. So the other angle of Staex is that we are agnostic from the fact of where we actually send the data. So we can, because it's a Web3 distributed protocol, we don't have cloud backends, we can send it to any partner. So today you're also going to see how DIMO is using trusted data for Staex and Chirp. So you can, push it into different sorts of structures and systems. Of course, very exciting is AI applications on top of it, because now that the data is trusted, it's super important with accordance to EU Data Act, we can build all sorts of different applications. Now, so let me kind of squeeze you to the bus for a little bit. This is how the mess and the magic actually looks like. This is the bus in Duisburg, as I said. You see the plate. And this is Philip, our third co-founder. He is today on the public transportation fair in Hamburg. So he sends you greetings. And this is the gateway, how it all actually looks like. So any type of sensory that is on the bus is connected to the gateway, and we have the ability to sign data right at the point of creation so that the data is trusted. So let me show you how it actually looks like. We basically show synthetic data, which resembles the customer data just because we cannot show the customer data. The data that is being measured is CO2, passenger count, and basically velocity. And so this is kind of the dashboard where every manufacturer builder actually wants to have some statistic about their data. And then the magic that is Staex bringing into the systems and providing this trust is that every data point that you can see here is actually trusted. So basically everything that is being recorded goes directly on Solana blockchain. And why this is so exciting, because we run with public transportation, bus is you can see it in a way like a public-private good, where not only the operator wants to have the data, but also actually the bus builder wants to have the data, right? They want to have predictive maintenance that you're going to be seeing later. They want to understand analytics about data. And so this amazing links that can be actually resolved by a lot of partners, this is the magic that is being created, because instead of putting it all to the cloud and building complicated bridges in between cloud environments, we provide very easy means of how to send this data point to a lot of partners. Like for instance, policy departments that need to know where this exact bus actually was located at this point in time. So here is the Solana transaction, and here is the actual data that we are saving. The data goes to the balance of the customer. It's directly on premise. They own the data. We store hashes and signatures on chain, which basically prove the integrity and the authenticity where the transaction is actually coming. Now, this is how we started. It's been all amazing. And then we actually started to think further. So now that we have the trusted data on chain, we actually can introduce automation. So basically, if there is CO2 measured constantly on the bus, CO2 production, we actually can help manufacturers to calculate it in an automated manner so that you're actually pre-building the certification into your network, which is amazing because otherwise it's a cumbersome process of calculating how much actual CO2 has been created. And here is an amazing way of how to actually do this. Another interesting part here is in our specific bus fleet, we now started to have electric buses. So electric buses, they don't produce CO2, they offset CO2. So you can also automatically offset it within smart contract, which is all, again, automated in the network. Bus manufacturer doesn't have to do anything. So that you see, it's actually the view, very simple view for our customers. They have direct access to all data. They see analytics about their data. Then you will see the thing that DIMO is doing with this data. So this is the beauty of Staex, that we supply the data to all different systems. For some of you that are interested to track the process of the project, we also have a little summary, basically the trusted chain application we're doing. Bus. Every chain can see which exact transaction went on which chain. We're chain agnostic. We are writing around, currently it's around 500,000 transactions to 700,000 into every chain per every day, which is an insane amount. We calculated since the project started around 10 million transactions already. And this is for the fleet of buses, which is 11 buses with 72 different devices on the bus, which are APC, automated passenger counters, other sensory on the bus. And this is the statistics that you can always look at. So coming back a little bit to the numbers, we wanted to show you that we're currently deploying 10,000 devices on our network. With the amount of transactions that I told you, we generate 700,000. And basically through the buses, we also onboard 3 million users that also will be interacting and will be incentivized to actually ride the buses. The numbers goes up, of course, as we proceed with our implementations and reach 1 million transactions per day per device within the next months and years with Staex. So basically, why is it so interesting? Because we think that telemetry data is one of the amazing use cases that we found that works for both blockchains and the industry. We generate on average around 10 million data points per day per device. The data points that I just showed you, just the first 3, we have up to 30 data points per bus right now, basically marching towards 12,438 billion transactions by the year 2029. It makes our whole Web3 environment and Staex team excited because, as you know, in blockchain, there was always the hunt for, where is the best transaction with the best throughput. So how to actually generate these transactions from the industry. Just a little bit of our history. We actually want to make machine autonomous. That's why we are building Staex. We help providers and IT builders actually with service integrations. We simplify these integrations. They usually have to do on average around 18 different integrations to build one application. It's expensive, and of course, internet is a free land. There is a lot of hackers, so if something goes wrong, the devices, sometimes needs to be put down. As I mentioned, we have a unique history coming from DT. That's why our competence lies specifically in the networking. We are for 5 years already independent on the market, delivering reliable connectivity to our customers and multi-stakeholder access to trusted data, which of course accelerates the AI modeling. So we really proud to see that we have really, vendor agnostic architecture. So we sell this freedom to the customers to be able to choose blockchains that they're working with and databases they're working with. Important is the GDPR compliance. Some parts of this infrastructure also hosted at Deutsche Telekom's Open Telecom Cloud. If you're interested more, you can ask us. And basically, we march towards the Staex gateway that works plug and play, and customers actually don't have to care about this. As I said before, we are present globally, but more specifically today, we're focused on Berlin. So thank you so much for listening. I hope the connection was good. We've done the best to make the session, and huge kudos to the team.
Question now. Feel free, and otherwise, can send her. Yes, please.
Was the price per day for all the was the price per day for all the transactions, or was the average per day you spend on Solana transactions?
Thanks. Alexandra, are you still there?
Hi, I'm still here. I did hear the question.
Price per day to put the data on Solana. We can also ask Patty.
Don't hear. No. I don't hear. It's far away. Yeah. What's the price per day? So thank you for this question. It's a great question. So actually, it depends, because when we collaborate with blockchains, today the transactions are prepay for the customers. So we are currently also estimating what is real for the customer, because for some of the use cases, like for instance, you're going to be hearing later, we have use cases with safety on the bus. Then basically everything that happens around this has to be written on chain. And currently, we also play around with what is the percentage of the data that actually has to go on chain? Should we Merkle tree it before? Should we do it less or more? But currently we are exploring this right now. Our price, so basically customers pay us 30K per year for 50 buses. This is included in the subscription. This is all covered at the moment. This is how it's done today. But this will change in the future.
Thank you. So basically, we work with a lot of chains because we're chain agnostic, and right now they're not very stringent on cost because we're all exploring. There are chains even that let us do this for free, storage, etc. But yes, it will be a very important question in the future. And not everything has to go on chain, right? So right now we put a lot on chain that maybe doesn't need to be. So this is a great question. Alexandra, we will give you a thank you by telehealing, by giving you a big round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the week.
And see you soon in person, also for me. That would be nice. Then the rest, luckily Tim got here as well. Great. The rest of, the speakers are here. Thankfully, we're moving to a DePin darling, and Alex is here from New York. Alex, 182,000 connected cars from different make and model. You're one of the top 10 DePin platforms in the world, and I am so grateful you're here.
Thank you so much, Paksy. Hi, everyone. Let's get the presentation up. Yeah, no problem. In the meantime, I'll let everyone know. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm one of the co-founders of DIMO. We've been building DIMO for the last 4 years. And as Paksy mentioned, we started by focusing on going direct to consumer with a new value prop, which is you can be in control of your own vehicle data. We look at cars, broadly speaking, and vehicles in general as an amazing developer platform. And let's see, there it is. And our mission is to create really an open source ecosystem where anyone in the world build applications in the mobility space. We look at this as a key to unlocking much more revenue and economic value for everyone from automakers to insurance companies to anyone that really plays in the auto and the mobility world. And we believe a big factor is going to come from external developers. But before we talk about mobility, I think there's a very useful analogy from the open banking space. So it's almost hard to remember a time 10 years ago when open banking wasn't a reality, and the first startups like Intuit and Mint and Plaid got started actually scraping banking and payments websites. And this is, before the wild fintech apps that we have today. Actually, it was here in the EU that we kind of pushed open the rules around open banking, letting users share their banking data, letting third parties actually create payments and transactions. And pretty rapidly, there was a huge explosion in fintech. And of course, today, more than 50% of consumers are using some fintech-related application. We have neobanks, we have lending, we have buy now, pay later, budgeting and aggregation apps. So much fintech has exploded in the last 10 years. And one of the things that I like to mention is that during that time, many incumbent banks had pretty familiar fears. Of course, in parallel, during this whole time, blockchains are rising to prominence. The incumbent banks feared loss of ownership over the customer interface and disintermediation. Some banks actually jumped into the mix and started immediately jumping on open payments and open systems as a way to generate new revenue. BBVA, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, these are all banks that were able to create open platforms and generate, in some cases, billions of new revenue. The laggards like Wells Fargo and Barclays and HSBC were slow, or they fought this change. And what happened is they lost market share. So today we have billions and billions of dollars in new fintech revenue, and it all follows a similar pattern. Open developer ecosystems create new growth. I wanted to do that little detour in order to talk a little bit about what's happening in the automotive industry right now. So vehicle connectivity has not turned out to be the gold mine that was promised 10 years ago. Over the last decade, we had automakers promise billions and billions of dollars in connectivity revenue that just really hasn't materialized. Many consumers complain about their applications they get from their automakers. The weekly active users are extremely low. We're just not seeing the adoption of connected vehicle technology to the extent that we thought would. In the meantime, drivers are already using hundreds of different applications, from insurance to car clubs to mobility, AI tools, EV products, even online communities where people are talking and sharing and participating in communities centered around their automotive experience. This is a gap that DIMO is here to close. And frankly, that gap exists in part because the developer experience is so fragmented. Every single automaker has their own developer platform. There's no interoperability. There's no easy way for vehicle data from one system or one telematics integration to another to actually be used by a developer. And so it becomes really, really difficult to create new applications on top of this data. We believe that an open ecosystem needs to be built in order to unlock that value in the automotive world. And so DIMO does this in a unique way that really focuses on decentralization. What we've done is we've created an open framework that allows anyone to actually ingest and send data into the DIMO ecosystem. The DIMO nodes are sort of the bearers of vehicle identity. We have an open identity system for vehicles, and it can extend to other IoT objects. And we have an open SDK that anyone can use to actually build applications. And so with this system, anyone can actually send data in, and developers on the other side can create those applications. And really, really importantly, we've built this permission layer that allows fleet managers, drivers, anyone to actually sign data and sign access to their data. And I'll show you what that looks like here in just a moment. Under the hood, we have this digital twin, this vehicle identity, which is actually an NFT that is dynamically updated and can be updated by really anyone that can contribute data to this system. All of this is governed by smart contracts. So developers, fleet managers, they receive smart accounts that actually they use to manage these vehicle identities. The storage nodes can be run by any company or enterprise or even an individual who wants to store their own vehicle data. And on the other side, we have developers with their own smart accounts. And what happens in the middle is a smart contract that actually governs who has access to what data. So let's take a look at what that looks like. just a moment as I get my computer set up here. Sorry everyone's hearing all of the noise here. Okay, we don't need to do keyboard setup. We are going to get the stream rolling. So, what we can see here is Claude. And if you're not familiar with this, which I'd be shocked if anyone in this room is not familiar with Claude and LLMs, this is one of the great LLMs that's out there. And I've set it up so that I can actually ask, we've built an MCP server, I can actually ask Claude about my car, and I can actually push new data into Claude using the DIMO developer platform. So I've preset this query. I'm going to ask Claude to look up how many vehicles it currently has access to. Claude has to learn the DIMO API every time Yeah, thank you, thank you. So last thing to know, we've got a lot of developers building on DIMO already. And if you're a developer or a builder, an enterprise in the cloud, or in the crowd, we'd love to chat more. They're building all kinds of new applications. It's really easy. You can get started with our DIMO console, console.dimo.org, and actually build for your own vehicle, build all kinds of things. And we have lots of ideas for the types of use cases that you can build. So come and chat with me after, and we'll be happy to talk to you more about that. Thank you so much.
Question for Alex, you'll meet him also, but if there's a question now, please.
Hi, I'm Matthias. I work for Hyundai, and I have a question. So car makers are historically not the easiest to share data with startups or like externals. And how do you see the chances that we will actually get a unified system, like an open source system where car makers all together, or at least some clusters, will share this kind of data?
That's a great question. So we spent time, we worked at auditors and are very familiar with those concerns. And one of the things that we've done specifically is to actually enable, like we enable automakers to run the infrastructure on their own. So DIMO itself, like we don't have to store the data on our servers. It doesn't have to be run through us at all. There is still the question of like, what is the amount of industry standardization that we can actually achieve? That's, you know, you can solve for the technical, like, hey, the data can stay on your servers and you can kind of run this infrastructure. I remain mostly optimistic. We've actually heard from automakers that they're now starting to get open to the idea of more data standards, because they've seen that they simply can't muster the same amount of developer activity just having such a fragmented developer experience. The other thing that is quite useful in that, just that when you have an open system, lots of people can build. And so we're seeing interest from automakers in some apps that are already built on DIMO. And it can start with as a parallel system that they just put into and run on their own, but it can actually grow and over time become something that they run entirely.
Alex, maybe 2 sentences of what Staex and DIMO are.
Yeah. So we didn't get to demo it again because the customer's data, of course, is something that we want to keep it. But with the deployments that Staex has with vehicle fleet, the permission system that DIMO provides can be used to actually permission and send data into new places. So as fleets need new types of services and need to actually use their data in new applications, it becomes a super simple way for those fleets to manage where that data is sent.
Thanks, Alex. Tim, you're up. Tim joined us, for those of you who were there last year, Tim joined us last year with the drone corridor, the data corridor, and you're back. That's good.
Thank you for having me. So I'm Tim, I'm founder of Chirp, and we are making IoT easy. So we have 2 products. We have a IoT platform that unifies all of the IoT standards, and we have decentralized connectivity where the signal is provided by a Web3 community. They install the antennas, and those antennas provide the coverage for IoT devices. So your IoT devices can talk just like your cell phone, regardless of their location. So typical IoT devices are installed, for example, in your house, and they work from Wi-Fi. So we're building this network where IoT devices can talk to the external antennas, just like your cell phone. So you can take your IoT device and you can actually take it outside and make it mobile. So IoT space is extremely IoT devices, they speak different languages. MQTT, LoRaWAN, MyOT, Modbus, and so on. So probably a lot of those things, if you're not in IT, do not mean a lot to you, but they're just different languages that those IoT devices speak. And what happens is it creates this really fractioned IoT space where each manufacturer creates a device and they try to lock you in to use their system. And those IoT devices cannot talk to each other. So we're creating this unified platform where we allow for different IoT devices to talk to each other. So for example, I have two IoT devices here in my hand. One is a motion detector and a people counter, and another one is a CO2 sensor. So there's probably thousands of different IoT devices out there that are meant for different use cases. But what you can do on our platform, these two devices are from different manufacturers. And before Chirp, they could not talk to each other. So at Chirp, we're enabling the communication between those two devices. So for example, now you can install this motion detector in a room, and when somebody walks in, the motion detector can detect presence in the room. It can also, through our system, through another device, see what the temperature is in the room. And by user set preferences, it can either turn up or turn down the heating system. So those are different IoT devices that you could use on our platform. And so really, the use cases are limited only by your imagination. So in case of fleet management, you can have, for example, a car tracker connected to our system, absolutely any car tracker. And what it enables for different projects like DIMO and, I'm sorry, what's the name of the company? Iris. To be able to expand their client offering. So they can connect any type of device and make their system more robust. So for example, in the case of car trackers, if a car tracker is installed in a bus, our system can expand the line offering of those trackers. And for example, if the bus gets closer to the base station, it can alert the crews to prepare to open the gates automatically. Or if you're running a fleet with 18-wheelers, for example, it can alert the crews to prepare the shipment for loading. So it can streamline the operations and make your customer experience better. So this is what we do at Chirp, kind of like a short rundown.
Thanks, Tim. So Tim, this is why Tim is here, because obviously on the Mibo buses, we have faced countless of devices that need to be connected with one another and sending data. So it's what Tim mentioned. We have 6 to 8 CCTV cameras sometimes on buses, right? It depends on if it's a long bus but it's from 6 to 8 approximately. Then you have a camera for the bus driver. You have the sensor for the passenger account. You have, multitude of devices. And this is why we've been working with Chirp in the interoperability of all of that. So thank you so much, Tim, for being here. Thank you. So next is fascinating. You will hear directly from industry leaders explaining a little more in depth about software-defined vehicles beyond just what you can learn from ChatGPT. And I'm very grateful Andre is here from Porsche Consulting and Iris. So do we want to, if we sit here, guys can't really see us, right? So maybe these chairs are better? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Just thinking that maybe, so you in the back, I know in the back there are cool kids, but then you can't see us. All right. So what we'll do is this. You'll hear from the industry. We'll start with Andre. If you could, guys, introduce yourself, then we run some of the slides from Porsche Consulting to talk about software-defined vehicles, and feel free to chime in, right? And then we talk a little more about how Staex is bringing, together with DIMO, Chirp, and other partners, Web3 tools, and Solana, of course, Web3 tools and AI into the mobility. And this is obviously not a cake cut out for just us because it's too enormous. And I know there's some builders in the room, and we're opening up, as I think I mentioned before, a platform of 10 buses that you can build on. And these are actual buses that are driving around in Westfalen, and you will actually be able to test, whatever solution you have that you think is right for the mobility sector. So this is why it's very important that you're in the room, listen from, the industry players, and then try to think of, okay, what's next? Where do I fill this gap? So we're talking about the challenges in mobility, closing that gap. But first, please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Levitin, working for Porsche Consulting, and happy to be here. And today maybe I'm giving to you and then I do the little presentation.
No, I don't have.
Yeah? Okay, good.
Then answer questions.
Okay, good. Maybe a short introduction from your side.
Yeah, guys. I'm Ulf. I'm here from Iris. I'm a part of Iris. We are a Berlin-based company. We produce hardware, actually, mainly. We bring this hardware into buses, into the public transport sector, which is part of critical infrastructure. We do this now. So I'm with Iris for over 11 years, and Iris was founded in 1991, I guess. And so we had a huge tour. We're across 5 countries. We have 5 subsidiaries in the world. We're part of the Init concern, which is a huge concern in public transport. So we try to deliver the best experience for all public transport operators, for the users of the vehicles, and so on.
Let me just run through quickly. You're also in New York City buses, no? So this is actually super interesting.
Connected somehow.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't use Chirp.
It will happen. So Andre will walk you through some slides, and then there's some slides where Iris, where Ulf can actually chime in to go a little bit deeper to explain. You will see what's happening in the space. Thank you.
Okay. We have the name consulting in the company name, and consulting means PowerPoint presentations. So I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I couldn't stop it. Yeah. Secondly, who heard about SDV or software-defined vehicles? Not that many. So this is more an inspirational presentation because I think it's a very up-to-date buzzword. If you open, at least in my network, if I open LinkedIn or whatever, or everywhere SDV, all the conferences I'm attending, it's SDV. And some of the topics I heard here are also SDV related. And there was also a question from Hyundai, and I guess this is also a challenge which SDV might solve. Maybe a little background about Porsche Consulting. Yeah, the name is related to Porsche, so it is Porsche, but we have an own consulting company, around 1,000 people. And as part of the Volkswagen Group, we do all kinds of Volkswagen business, so everything that is related to trucks, bus, cars, motorcycle, battery management, whatever. But we also are industry agnostic, so we have, I don't know, ZF, Boeing, Deutsche Bank, Deutsche Bahn, so all the kind of industry as clients, but of course, historically, we have an automotive background. I am doing this little presentation because we have more insights than just the Volkswagen Group. That's why what I'm bringing here, and also related maybe to the bus segments. I guess I can mention it. Usually you can't mention your clients. In our case, I can because it's part of the group. So we also work with Scania, with MAN. I'm doing a lot of MAN and Scania projects. Also with Navistar, or now International again in the US. So yeah, happy to be here, and I would like to do a short introduction about software-defined vehicle and why it might be interesting for you. So a software-defined vehicle describes any kind of vehicle. It can be also a tractor or a construction truck, whatever, which has their own value proposition coming from the software. Because as you know, until yesterday, everything came from mechanics. And the paradigm shifted, and we reached the climax, and now everything that comes on top to the customer or clients, B2B and B2C, comes from the software. And this changed a lot, because yes. So maybe you don't see it, you see an iceberg, and there's a car with a lot of network and ECUs and so on. So if you go to conferences, especially if you speak to people who are not related to automotive or software, and they say, oh yeah, I've heard about software defined. It's this infotainment with this shiny screen, and and it is. And then they think, yeah, then you have this camera assistance 360. And I'm like, yeah, it's also related. What about ADAS, autonomous driving? This is software defined? I said, yes, but this is the product. And software defined is everything what is invisible below the part. So it's the DNA of the car, so the electronic control unit architecture. I can tell you when I was working in engineering, I was also a product manager. I had examples. Length of a cable or the thickness of a cable impacted software performance, or even the car is up and down in the early development stage. By the way, a car is way more complicated than an iPhone, because usually you have this iPhone comparison. A car is a data center, it's not an iPhone, first of all. Secondly, it has a lot of stress tests, because an iPhone doesn't have vibrations while it is minus 40 outside. So a car, and by the way, an iPhone hopefully can't kill anyone, but a car or truck can. So the complexity behind how you build this stuff and how you put together and it performs over 10, 20 years. By the way, another thing for you, a car, especially truck, has to be maintainable for the next 30 years. So everything what are spare parts you as a producer, you have to be able to supply them and also supply updates and the whole long tail of consequences of maintaining a car. So imagine you would have an iPhone which is maintained for 30 years. And this is currently a big issue for the industry, because despite the regular issues they have building quality cars which don't break, you now have all the software part. By the way, China, for example, did a new law that you, by law, for the next, I guess, 15 years, you are obligated to have software updates over the air for your car. So you can't say at some point, I won't update it.
Andre, just, I would like to delve in deep, because this is really his kind of purview. Ulf, maybe you want to talk a little bit about how complex this is and what you guys are working on, and what are some of the challenges are that your customers are facing already?
Yes, thanks, Paksy. So that's a good question. If you look at the line where you have transmission control, battery management, engine control units, this is like the public transport operators all across the world. They struggle from the change in traffic, from resources, and then you have like this huge topic about autonomous driving and battery-driven driving. For example, you make a plan as public transport operator in Berlin. You deploy a bus on the route, and then an accident happens and the bus gets stuck in traffic. And the next bus that can be deployed is like, I don't know, the battery capacity of 50%. You see it in your disaster control system, and you don't know whether you can deploy the bus, whether or not. For example, because the bus got stuck in traffic, the battery drowns, you have to run the air conditioning system, and the people on the bus, they go mad. And this is some kind of use case or application you always are confronted with as a public transport operator. For another example, is in UK, there are credit cards, or not credit cards, there are credit scores for drivers, how they behave in the traffic. So does it matter if they go fast? Does it matter if they brake? What's the impact on the vehicle if you brake with 100 people in it, if you brake with 10 people in it? What's the impact on the maintenance review? So these are all informations people try to get out of the cars. You have in Vienna a blockchain pilot type where they try to bring a lifetime lifecycle management application on the blockchain to see to monitor the whole life cycle in the vehicle, to see whether you have to bring the vehicle into maintenance or you can go for another route and so on. So that's kind of the actually now happening use cases we have.
Thank you. Andre?
Yeah, thank you. Maybe one thing to make it even crazier how it can be with ECUs. So from truck or bus perspective, you have the segment that's called bodybuilder. So the part of the truck belongs to the manufacturer, for example, MAN, and then the crane coming from Liebherr. And then you have just two companies, two softwares, two stacks, two networks, 2 times dozens of ECUs and so on, and they have to communicate, and that's not trivial. So coming next, should I harder or software? Now here. Yes, the motivation, just to double check that again, yes. The motivation behind the SDV and why it matters and why we talk about. Above you can see the software defect vehicle. It's just a joke, haha. And below we have the software defined vehicle. So what do we see on the top side? This is how the cars were built for the last 100 years. So you had a car, and then you had a lot of components, like maybe engine, transmission, maybe you had headlights at some point, electric mirror came at some point. And over the last 100 years, the complexity grew and grew. And as you can imagine, if you talk from Mercedes or Porsche, they don't build everything. We don't build our own electromirrors. We don't build our own LED beam lights. We don't build our own cameras. And then I can list you 12,000 items in the car which we don't build. And they come from manufacturers, and you know them. They're like Bosch, they're Continental, ZF. There's a whole list of multi-billion companies who you never heard about, and they are basically building the car. And what we do is at the end, we glue it together. And we do the design. And at the end, we're responsible in front of the customer. Okay, the engine comes from us. And what happens that everything what I mentioned to you, and you can imagine what also you talked about, is all the components have so much software that at some point you have a huge stack. By the way, when we talk about the operating system of the car, I know it because I worked on the MBUS for Mercedes-Benz previously when I was product manager, and it has 270 million lines of code. If I'm not mistaken, the Windows operating system has 300. So it is a complete operating system running over 100 ECUs coming from 80 different suppliers. You can imagine that. And the manufacturing is around 3 and 5 years because the, how should I say it? The load of work you get with that is crazy. Sorry for my language, but you can't explain to that how many bugs you have for 2, 3, 4 years because you're gluing together code from 80 different suppliers. And by the way, many of them are black box because if you buy one little thingy, it costs 100 euro if it's a white box, or it costs 50 euro if it's a black box. Then you buy the next 10 years. And the chain of consequences that you have, no ownership at the end. As the builder, as the manufacturer of your car itself, you can see there were some questions here, why is data not standardized, why don't I have full access and so on, because I can tell you half of the car doesn't even belong to the manufacturer, so you won't even be able to read it. And despite the fact, we're not talking about data, but also about how you build software at the end. And the software-defined vehicle begins with the logic of software. That's why Tesla or BYD or NIO, all the new players, they have one lucky position. They're starting on canvas. It's not a joke. They sat down and wrote on a virtualization a car for a decade, and then they were fine with that, and then they build it in a hardware manner. They build the tooling around it, how to build it. And at the end, it has less more people, less more tooling, and fun for the same amount of operations, less lines of code, and less components in the car. And as you can see, for example, what the Chinese OEM is doing, or Tesla, they're introducing more and more and more their own devices, so they own full stack of the car. And this is the paradigm shift which is currently ongoing with in all industries. It's impacting truck, bus, tractors, and so on. And this is a little picture of how you can imagine what happened in the last 20 years in terms of logic and network logic in the car. And what is now happening, and all the people are talking about this so-called, I don't want to deep dive on that, is this zonal architecture. Because back then it was the case that each function had its own device. So that's why you had 120, 40, 160 ECUs in the car from different suppliers. Now they say, okay, you have front left, a computer, we call it zonal front left, and all the devices in the front left array, they talk just to this one computer. So you have, instead of dummy computers, you have one smarter one. And this is the paradigm shift we're talking about. So SDV means you don't start with the car, you begin with the software, and you end with the car. Again, a lot of philosophy here, but now to making a circle to what we're discussing, namely data and accessing data. to have all this cool access, and especially not only access, but also because I guess the advanced case is that you have access to write data, not only to read data, you need a very strong core of your car. That means you have a very good software architecture of the vehicle and the connected environment itself to think about what is mobility, Internet of Things, and connected life. And hopefully with that, I can now hand over to you or you, whatever.
Yes. Before that, any questions just for Andre? I know you'll meet him later, but no questions? All clear? It's actually listening to you a miracle that it all works.
Yes, it is.
Right? Next time you get in the car, think about, So this is actually the heart of it, right? Well, why we're here together today.
Yeah,
Wolf,
this is
what are you
actually
seeing?
where we hope to build up from. So this is basically the foundation everything works with. If you look now at public transport, you all think about maybe you have a bus, you have a train, and you always see the conductor, but it will shift to autonomous driving. So one of the challenges now is that there is no legal framework for full autonomous driving in Germany, for example. And the only legal framework you can create is if public transport operators who own the infrastructure create contracts with the suppliers, so you have a legal framework on contract basis. And if we talk about that, if you talk about dash cams or Tesla, for example, there was this incident in Hamburg where this guy, he went on a road rampage, he hit some red lights, then he left his car, and then the attorney at state wanted to see the dashcam movie material from the Tesla to identify the driver. So the attorney of state approached Tesla, they get the material, they get the video data, and then they were able to identify the driver. But now, and there's the but, it's only video information or camera information from the server from Tesla. So you don't know if the material is trustworthy or not. And this is the problem. You can't fight it in court. You can say, I don't know if this material was manipulated by AI or anything. And up to now, you have this challenge in the buses, and you go, when you have an incident reporting, you hit the button, the panic button, and you want the CCTV system to record the violence, then or to report the incident or the accident, or the red light traffic, or the bus lane. I don't know, it's so many use cases. You can ask me later. Then every time you want to secure the data, the attorney of state or the lawyer needs to go into the bus, take out the hard drive, take out the capture, and see the material with witnesses. And now having that trustworthy on blockchain hashed allows you to distribute the data in a very better way. Immediately, like you saw, you can access the data in the very moment you give the permission to it. And this will change the approach of hardware and the approach of getting data to important points.
And that's not so far away, right? Because I heard you saying that in some countries,
Yeah, that's true. Actually, in Italy and in France, they already accept hashed blockchain video information data in court. United States, they do as well. They have their pilot in New York, Illinois.
How many of you knew this? Because I actually personally know this. That's pretty amazing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So it's here. Not
And
far
then,
away music.
no, it's not far away music. And even if you look at the public transport operators, how they could benefit from that, because you have the ride sharing. You still need to distribute the money you get for the ticket. Like if you buy in Germany, there's the German ticket, and you can, if you have it, you can basically enter every public transport operator in the whole Germany, and you can go wherever you want. But you purchase a ticket once, and you can quit or discontinue it or continue it monthly on a monthly basis. And this is all being handled manually or with really complex infrastructure. Now, if you put that on a smart contract in your wallet, by the way, I don't know if you heard about the UID wallet. So I'm going to that because I'm jumping topics now.
No.
But basically, there was so many struggle and so many fights of the public transport operators to introduce the German ticket because they all wanted to have the money. You buy the ticket in Berlin, you drive a bus in Munich. How is the Munich operator getting his money? How is the money distributed? It's all been done by counting people miles on the buses, and you somehow need to get the data. So once you have the data, for example, Berlin is running a program which allows you to get cinema tickets for free or at cost if you go a dedicated amount of miles by public transport. So this can be organized in, I think it's your language.
No, what I'm hearing is like have multi-stakeholders, right?
Yeah,
And how do you prove?
multi-stakeholders.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Like you have the legal departments, you have the state governments, you have the obviously us who are riding public transport, you have drivers, but you have the maintenance facilities and everybody in this environment. They somehow need to communicate, trust the data they get, they need to prove in court. Yeah, that's probably the challenge.
Yes.
And
talk a little bit about the EU ID, because a lot of us actually don't have the latest information.
There's the European Blockchain Initiative program. Based up on this European Blockchain Initiative, there's the UID wallet. The UID wallet is being developed in Germany by the Ministry of Sprint, with D, not with T. And they entered phase 3 this year, and phase 3 will be finished by end of this year, by December, I guess. And then there's the prototype of the UID wallet. And the UID wallet, again, has the purpose for you guys, for everybody in the EU, to have your digital identity, to have your keys. Maybe you can switch on your public transport ticket or switch it off. You can rent a car and not. You can make your taxes announcement or not. You can, I don't know. Again, so many possibilities with this wallet then.
Right. So in closing, Ulf, what do you see as and then Andre as well, some of the challenges, immediate challenges that need to be solved in the automotive or mobility sector? I know they're plentiful, but.
Yeah, I have to improvise here. The one challenge with I try to build a bridge to the audience here, so the so-called over-the-air update. I don't know, have you ever heard about it? Yeah. So especially if you work on buses, you really to come to a workshop, and an update takes up to 2-3 hours because it's difficult to do a partial update. You have to do a full flash, and you can brick a car and stuff like this. So currently everyone is heavily invested in over-the-air update, especially if you have components which are not built by you but coming from third-party suppliers. And there, I guess, might be the case. Currently, the data amount due to the software structure is very expensive, so an update is costly. And for some, it's mandatory to obtain them. So I guess to work on how to reduce the bandwidth and the logic of an update would be great.
Super. Yeah. Task for all of you. Ulf.
I'm going into the same direction. With being part of critical infrastructure, you have to have secure development life cycles. Like one of our latest products is cybersecure developed according to a specific standard. It's ES 62443-2. And meeting that standard means that you have to provide secure updates for a specific time and over the whole lifetime of the product. So bringing that update into the system is a challenge. What is even more challenge is that the whole area of public transport is becoming critical infrastructure. There are regulations like CRITIS, NIS2, European Cybersecurity Act. According to the United States, they had it before the European government issued it. And you have to provide a secure environment, and every public transport operator has to provide it. So even the smallest transport operator in Hinterdupfing with 30 buses needs to provide a secure IT infrastructure for operating on his fleet management system, and they are kind of overwhelmed with all the technology. So if we can provide a secure environment based maybe on Web3 technology, which is trustable, that would be a great deal for them as well.
Super, thank you. Any questions? I know we have sandwiches there and you can meet them, ask questions direct, but any doubt?
Yeah, I was always wondering if I'm a car producer, that car is producing data. I get it, like if I buy the car from a car manufacturer, there's a contract between them. But if I sell now the car, is there a legal contract that my car is still like producing that data and I'm allowed to use it as a car producer? I've never understood it. So can you add that?
That's the question to you.
Yeah.
To be honest, beautiful question, I have no clue. Never thought about that. But what's the exact issue? So, I mean, the car changes the owner?
Yeah, the car changes the owner, and like if you sell your car to someone, you can have it in a contract that you are allowed to use the data.
So, I mean, the second owner, is the issue that the second owner doesn't know that someone granted access to, okay.
Yeah, and how could he in the future work on that?
Yeah, okay, good. Might be the case.
I want to
with
say use DIMO, but.
Yeah.
It's funny, the internet is filled with examples of people who are like, oh, I sold my car and I still have access. Like, look at this person driving around. I can see everywhere they're going. It's like, haha, but not. Yeah, I mean, I have yet to meet a OEM that has a great answer to that solution because so many vehicle sales happen on the secondary, private markets. They go peer to peer. You hope that the person who sold the car comes back and turns off their connectivity. The new person comes in and turns on their connectivity, but that happens so rarely. There really is no good system for managing that today. We have some tools built around that as well, but even what we have is not complete because there's so many records that you need to tap into, title, and all these other things that it's integrating a lot of different sources of data.
In this exact direction, I mean, not only about the data being made available or transferred over, but I think Volkswagen just paid €1 billion fine in the past couple of months because all of their their e-mobility fleet was basically designed with non-secure software systems that were also publicly accessible. If you knew the tricks and the protocols, then you could basically watch and see where the entire fleet on the planet, or I don't know if it was only Europe, or yeah, the whole planet, where who was when. So, but I mean, like I say, it doesn't matter which aspect we're touching upon, because like as far as individual vehicle data is concerned, I believe, and I've been out of the field for a few years now, but I think OBD2 is still the standard, and you get a reader with a transmitter, telematics standard, and link it to any available open source platform. You can do the evaluations and the Auswertung, what is that? The review of data. But yeah, I completely agree with what has been said, that every level, every stage, and every step of the process has their challenges. And most importantly, and that's why we're all here today, is with the integration with a blockchain, that we at least have the cryptographic security, and that would solve many problems. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a chance to meet them. There's sandwiches, I believe, right? Yes. Some food over there in the back kitchen. I actually will run some interviews here. If you want to come up and answer a few questions, or you have something to share about maybe, you're in the mobility field, please tap me on the shoulder. We'll be here the remaining of the day. And thank you so much for coming. And please all stay in touch. Thank you. Yes. Oh, yeah. Partners.